I'll be giving a talk on the secret of sleep. Now, can I just quickly get a hand at some response of what is it? Especially one thing about sleeping that you like to understand. So I get everyone's who is participating tonight's feedback. So I make sure I cover that while I'm talking. And now, starting with you, what is one thing you like to know about sleep?
Why does it take me a long time to actually fall asleep when I get into bed? So I want to know. Sometimes it can take me about half an hour to 40 minutes to actually fall asleep.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Kira.
I'm here just to learn all the benefits from it.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Red. You can you unmute yourself?
I suppose why sometimes it's easier to sleep and other times it isn't, and the depth of sleep and the clarity around dreams, I suppose. Sometimes deeper sleep happens, sometimes it's not as deep, sometimes the dreams are really clear and sometimes they're not as clear. So yeah, some more understanding around those topics.
Jane?
My question is, why is it that it seems to be, sometimes everything goes really smoothly and everything, you sleep well and it's all good, and then other times, you wake up, it sort of goes in cycles or waves of, you can't sleep, and then you can sleep, a week later, and then another week later you sleep well, but you feel like crap in the mornings.
Great, thank you. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Reza.
What is one thing you like to know about sleep?
I would like to know, well, as we discussed, about the cycles, so more about sleep in general, but for me specifically, how I can get a deeper quality sleep so I wake up more refreshed as opposed to groggy and unrefreshed. I typically I'm not someone who wakes up a lot during the night, but I seem to sleep, but I need a lot, and I just don't think it's deep and quality sleep. So I'd like to know more about that.
Thank you. Sana, what would you like to know about sleep? Okay, we go to Mandy. Mandy is still there, or Mandy and Sana? And Alicia?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Oh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm with Na in wanting to know how to get to sleep a little bit quicker, because it can take me ages. So I tend to wait until I'm ready to pass out, and then it's stupid o'clock, and then I'm tired again the next day.
Okay. Who else is Alicia left? Is Alicia still there?
Yeah. I think Sana left a message under the chat box. She was asking how to get into a deep sleep.
Okay.
Yep. And my question is how to help someone who snores.
Did I miss anyone? Everybody, I got everyone?
Everyone's has answered you, Reza.
Mandy, did you comment it?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, I was just saying I'm with Na as far as getting to sleep. I tend to wait until I'm ready to pass out and I'm exhausted and it's stupid o'clock. And then the cycle continues and I'm pooped the next morning.
Right. Thank you, everyone. So you can go and mute yourself again. So we go back.
Sorry, Reza.
Yes.
So I'm with that other lady with how to wake up more refreshed, and why sometimes I wake up really groggy or just feeling horrible. Not so much getting to sleep, but it's waking up and just feeling more refreshed.
Because when I'm presenting, I'm on the full screen, so I don't have access to the chat box. So if there's any questions somewhere in the between, if you just want to ask me the question, just ask me and I'll stop and answer your questions. If you don't understand anything, then I will say. Now, let's go back to why do we sleep? As far as the sleep medicine is concerned, it's becoming more and more known that the sleep is body's own built-in stress management system. And this is one thing that I would like to just focus on this tonight, is how, if we can understand the notions of what sleep is and how we can manage making sure we have a good sleep system. The quality of a sleep dictates our ability to be able to body manage its own stress mechanism, or what we call the neuroplasticity, ability to adapt to the changes internally and externally. Now, a little definitions of sleep is sleep rejuvenates, recharges the body, detoxifies the toxin, repairs the damaged tissue, initiate growth, and aids in the process of sorting and storing everything we learned, felt, and experienced during the day. So it's a very, very powerful summary of what sleep is. And basically every question you have asked comes in your body's not be able to efficiently process go through one of these processes, which we look to see how it happens. It would be lovely for us to wake up in the morning and feel like $1 million. And however, we will look to see how this process goes. If you look at your sleep, you follow the arrow. The sleep divides by 2 cycles. One is called non-REM sleep, which is a purple, and the REM sleep, which is blue. And this purple one here is called non-rapid eye movements, which is in 4 stages. And stage 1, 2, 3, and the last one is 4. And then the REM sleep, which is we call the rapid eye movement, which is the last 2 stages here. So as we go through and 75% of the sleep is actually on non-REM sleep, and 25% of our sleep is on REM sleep. And imagine the agenda. This is every night when you go to sleep, the body has an agenda. And this is the same agenda every night after night. And the agenda of going to sleep is toxic waste management. Toxic waste management is, we call liver detoxification, does not happen during the day. Toxic waste management only occurs at night when we go to sleep. We call the liver has phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 detoxification. And the phase 2 detoxifications and the 3, which has to do with the liver and kidney, mostly happens at night. And I explain a little bit why that happens. Your body repair itself, repair the damaged tissue, regenerating new tissue happens at night. Regulating inflammations. The body has a built-in anti-inflammatory system that kicks in at night when we go to sleep. Regeneration of a new tissue, bones, everything in our body, growth hormone productions happens when we go to sleep, not during the day. Sleep's immune system regulation. Now, when we said earlier that the new terminology for sleep is body's own built-in stress management system, the second name that there now we know about the sleep is another name for your immune system. So everything we know about immune system is basically what your sleep is about. That's why every health challenges in our body always have associated with it some levels of sleep disruption. It means immune system disruption. Emotional healing. Sleep is a time for regulating and balancing our emotions. Memory consolidation and learning. It's a very powerful protocol. So these happens every night. One thing that I just go through this process, stage 1 through 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, happens at the non-REM sleep. So these are the non-REM sleep is where these first 5 stages takes place. And the REM sleep is where the last 6, 7, and 8 takes place. Emotional, for example, they've done a study when individual, as they got to the sleep, just before they get to the REM sleep, they wake them up. After 3 nights not having REM sleep, individual started to develop all the signs and behavior of schizophrenia and a lot of emotional dysregularities. We also know during the REM sleep, our brain regrows new brain tissues. The REM sleep is mostly known as our dream phase, but we dream through the whole night. The majority of our dreams does take place during the REM sleep. And one of the theories of the dreaming is that everything we have learned during the day is, as we said here, is initiating growth and aiding process of sorting and storing everything we learned, felt, and experienced during the day. Our brain has a capacity to take all the information we have got during the day and create scenario of it. And we call those scenario or what ifs dreams. So it plays all the information, different scenarios of what could have been taking place in our life. And we actually role played in the dreams. And what does that do? It allows, because when we go to the REM sleep, the brain actually, when you look at the brain activity, it looks like as if you are wide awake and you're fully engaged in a very busy physical activity. So even though you are asleep, your brain acts as if you're awake, because what it's doing is actually experiencing everything, all the informations, and putting into the picture story form, and is playing that role making. What does that do is that role making creates a set of probability of what could be and what we can learn. So throughout the history, they have said we have developed the ability to dream as a way of learning how to improve our chance of survival. As a result of learning, we develop new brain pathways. We develop new brain pathways during the sleep more than we do during the day. During the day, all we do is just gather information. We make sense of it at night during the REM sleep, and we play the role modeling, and we call dreams. So when we wake up in the morning, we already have more, we're supposed to be smarter than the night before. And learning how to interpret our dream, which is not the topic of tonight, it does help us to have more understanding of the messages about life. Maybe another one of the talks I can go and talk about how to interpret our dreams, which gives us the far greater opportunity to enhance development of neural pathways in our brain. And all of them, one thing you have in common. Imagine you're a director of a company and you're sitting down in your board meeting, and if you want to ask, okay, what is the agenda for the next season or next term or next quarter? And so we have a different directors responsible for each one of these activities. Once everybody talks about, like the director of a toxic waste management, repairs, everybody mention what their role and their job is. You turn around into your accountant, he says, you tell us the budget. So one thing they have all in common is they all requires energy. So that imagine your energy to be body's cash flow, ability to be able to allow energy resources to different by physiological process that helps you to be able to ensure that activity is taking place. So what we now understand, if your body has regulates 1,000 units of energy, you use 700 units to allocate during the sleep cycle. So one of the main aspects we need to understand that even though there are certain duty for our sleep, the non-REM sleep is detoxification, repair, regulation of inflammation, growth, and immune modulations, and the REM to be the emotional healing, memory, and learning. what is required is we have to have enough ability to be able to regulate the energy to allocate to this. So if you're running a show and if you look at these cycles and you say, okay, I require 700 of units of energy to making sure these processes do take place, you turn around to your accountant and says, what is our budget? Your accountant says, sorry, we only got 100 units of energy. So you have to then ration your energy and do what is required. This is why when you go to sleep, you wake up, you may go to sleep for 8 hours, but if your body does not have enough energy to regulate all this stuff and you ration in, you may have missed many of them. You wake up in the morning as if you have not had much sleep. It's because you have not processed and you have not done what it was supposed to do during your sleep. And it could be one or many of these systems. As we go through it, and you can see whether it applies to you or not. Now, I just go quickly through the number of hours you sleep, realistically, they're discovering that because it's taking longer and longer and longer for people to get these done, these steps and these duties fulfilled during the sleep, they're saying that anything below 9.25 hours of sleep increases your chance of cancer because immune modulations. At the same time, we know that average individuals they have what we call sleep death. A sleep death means that even though you might go to sleep for 8 hours, but you are losing 1.5 hours sleep to 2 hours due to the environmental noises, toss and turning, waking up, falling back to sleep. So average person, if you say to yourself, am I going to sleep for 8 hours? You're really having a 6-hour sleep. Assuming you have a 6-hour sleep, you only have 6 hours and you only sleep well if you have enough energy to ensure all these processes taking place. However, if you go to sleep for 8 hours, you're having 6.5 to 6 hours sleep. You're waking up feeling really tired and miserable. Most likely, you have not done any of the work. I use an example as if you get up, you grab all your books, you go to the library, you sit down in the library, you look at the clock, it's 8 in the morning, you look down at your books, you look up and the clock is 5 o'clock. You've been there for 9 hours. You get up, you take your books, you go home. You get home, your partner asks you, so did you go to the library? They said, yes, I did. He said, did you get any study done? And you said, you look at them shamelessly, said, no, actually, I didn't even open my books. I was too tired. So you may go to sleep for 9 hours, but when you ask yourself, did I really did what I was supposed to do during that time? Most likely you didn't because you were too tired to initiate these important physiological processes necessary for life. So what I found over the last for years of research is that if you have the right amount of nutritional, if you have the right amount of energy and everything else required to ensure you go through all these 7-8 stages successfully, you probably only need about 4 cycles of sleep. Each cycle is going from non-REM to REM is about 90 minutes. It could be more, but usually it's a 90-minute cycles. 75% of cycle is on the non-REM and 25% on REM. So you only need 4 cycles, pure quality 4 cycles. However, if you don't, you may need even 20 hours and you still don't feel like you slept 1 hour. The sleeping at night is different than sleeping during the day, because during the day, as I said, at nighttime, your body goes to the non-REM sleep and it depends on the circadian rhythm and the chemicals released in the body. When you have a little nap during the day, you don't go to the cycles of a non-REM sleep. You go directly into your REM sleep. And that's why sometimes you wake up you could have a 20 minutes nap. You wake up feeling, wow, I feel like I've slept for 2-3 hours. because during the REM sleep is where your body goes through the emotional, memory, and learning cycles. You wake up really refreshed. At nighttime, you have to go through the non-REM before you get to REM, and many people do not have a good quality REM sleep. So if you wake up in the morning and feeling tired, first of all, if you have an issue falling asleep, most likely because you don't have enough energy to begin with. If you wake up in the morning feeling tired, most likely you didn't go through the proper detoxification. And if you wake up in the morning groggy and not like a wrong side of the bed, you didn't have a good REM sleep. This is a very shortcut to know exactly how to grade yourself and assess what's going on with you. Children, as at the early age, they sleep 15 to 20, 18 to 20 hours a day, newborns, because most of these are all what is required to cause growth and learning in the brain and in the body. So they need as much sleep as possible because where the growth happens. As we get as teenagers, we go to about 10 to 11 hours. As our age increases, we go to less and less. And as we get to an adult, what is not that the sleep requirements lower. As we get older, we lose our cash flow. We don't have enough energy, and we only sleep 4 or 5 cycles. Still don't feel good. A lot of older people I have, they might sleep 5, 6 hours, but they feel very tired. So this is just a summary of how to look at that. And let's look to see what is the benefit, as we already gone through this benefit of sleep. So let's look at the cycle by cycle, and then we can see where your individual issue come from. Now, over all these years of research, we know sleep is important because it has been implemented and implicated in all these the medical conditions. We know almost all of them, and many, many more has associated with them irregularity with the sleep. That means if the sleep improves, many of the signs and symptoms of these also improve. The one that we see the most of is usually stress, depressions, poor immune system, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, diabetes, obesity, and cancer. About diabetes is very interesting. You burn more fat at night when you go to sleep than during the day. The amount of fat your body burns during the sleep is equivalent to doing 8 hours of intense aerobics. So you could ask yourself the questions with all those smiles. Do I want to go and exercise for 5 hours or 8 hours straight? Or do I do what it takes to go to sleep and have a good night's sleep? And the way to do that is you weigh yourself at night and you weigh yourself in the morning. If you've done the right thing, you should on average lose about half a kilo every night. So if you do it, I always look at my weight before I go to bed and wake up in the morning. If I have nothing has changed, I know that something did not go right with my fat burning mechanism and the energy required to efficiently process my sleep cycles. But if I wake up even with 100 grams, I know something positively has happened. So you might want to start to do that as a way of self-assessment. We went through these: newborns up to 15 hours, children's 10 to 11, adolescents 9 hours, and adults 7 to 9. This is adults. This would be after 25 years old, but I see more and more people who go for more than 9 hours. It's still not enough. I found that myself, my body with me needs 6 to 7 hours. If I can get my 6 to 7 hours, I feel really good. And if I sleep for 8 hours, I don't need it. But let's just go through the assessing yourself. When you assess yourself, you want to ask yourself whether you have sleep issues. These are 4 questions you ask yourself. Do I have any problem falling asleep? An average time to fall asleep is 15 minutes. If it takes you less than 5 minutes to fall asleep, You didn't initiate the sleep, you passed out. Many people say, I put my head down and I'm gone. I can put my head anywhere, I'm gone. That means there's a big problem initiating sleep. That usually means you're so exhausted that you pass out. If it takes you longer than 15 minutes to fall asleep, you have problem initiating sleep. The next questions you ask yourself is that a lot of parents bring their kids in because they say they just sit there and it just takes them forever to fall asleep. So that means medically you have an issue initiating sleep. Once you fall asleep, you go through maintenance of sleep. Maintenance of sleep is maintenance of a non-REM and the maintenance of REM. We will go through that. You say to yourself, when I fall asleep, am I able to stay asleep or do I wake up? If you wake up many times and you cannot fall back to sleep, if you exhibit certain behavior that we will discuss, that means you have problem maintaining sleep. And if you could be a maintenance of a non-REM and a maintenance on REM sleep. And quality of sleep. When you wake up in the morning, if you feel good, you had a good quality of sleep. If you don't feel refreshed, you haven't had a quality of sleep. Daytime wakefulness is that once you wake up, whether can you maintain that levels of alertness during the day, or do you feel within 2 or 3 hours by 10, 11 o'clock, you feel exhausted again? If you do, you ran out of fuels. You have an issue with daytime wakefulness. This is just a very general way of assessing that. Now let's talk about what really happens when we go to sleep. Let's look at one 90-minute cycle. One 90-minute cycle, this is a brain activity as we go to the sleep. So if this is a 90-minute cycle going from here to here, and this is alert, being awake, then what happened here is that gradually you go to our brain is active, we call it beta levels. Then muscles relax, we call it alpha waves, where the muscles start to relax. Theta waves is when you go to a deep sleep. It's when the liver detoxifications, growth hormones, regenerations, immune response happens. And then we go to delta waves. Delta waves is when we go through gut detoxifications and the deeper immune modulations. Your gut repairs and detoxify itself only at the delta waves. So many times if you have gut issues, you do not have a proper delta wave. So we talk about what are some of the symptoms that can tell you whether you have, which one of these you have. Once you go to delta, then you start to go back up again, we call REM sleep. Your body goes back up where it came from into theta, alpha, and the beta waves again. And up here at 90 minutes, you repeat it again. If you look at these diagrams here, the first cycle of your sleep, you have almost 80-90% of your sleep on the non-REM sleep. You have 10 minutes of a REM sleep. Second cycle, you have less non-REM and more REM. On the third cycle, you no longer go to your theta and delta. You mostly go from alpha, non-REM, alpha, beta back into REM sleep. And by the fourth cycle, you can see that there is hardly any theta and delta waves. It's very short alpha, and majority of your sleep would be on your REM. So just before you wake up, majority of your last cycle, just before you wake up, you're in your dream state, on your REM sleep. What the research have shown is that it is the REM sleep that adults start to lose as they get older. So that's why we lose our marbles, because we're losing more and more of a REM sleep. And we explain to you why that happens. So initiating sleep with arousal, the main focus of arousal is to acquire energy, is a catabolic process. And the full purpose of sleep is anabolism. Catabolism is breaking down, and anabolism is building up. It's like people who do anabolic hormones for bodybuilding, because all our hormones that causes rebuilding our body, tissues and everything else, muscles, it happens at night when we go to sleep. That's why the sleep is called anabolic process. A question? Anybody has a question? Good. Still awake? Thank you. Now, this is the first cycle. It's called initiating school. For you to initiating sleep, you need energy, and you need to switch your brain off from the active mode, we call sympathetic drive, to parasympathetic. The first thing happens is your brain produces a chemical called GABA. GABA shifts your body from a sympathetic overdrive arousal into the parasympathetic drive, which is relaxations. If your body cannot switch itself off, is as a result of could be too much stress, too excited, and a lot of things could happen. And that's something that I do when I look at the patients to see whether they have a problem initiating a sleep because of lack of energy, which is the number one reason, or is that they cannot switch off. You ask a patient two questions. Ask yourself a question. I'm not able to fall back to sleep because I'm too tired, or I'm not able to initiate a sleep because I cannot switch my brain off. If you fall back, if you cannot initiate a sleep because you cannot switch off your brain, you have issue with making a neurological shift of a sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system. If you have issue lying there and you're exhausted, you want to go to sleep, but you're tired, most likely you have an issue with sugar metabolism, your body is dehydrated, you're not getting enough oxygen, and you're not producing enough energy. Those are the things you look at. Look, for example, when patients have hyperbaric oxygen, if the energy is an issue, they tell me, God, I slept so well that night. But if nothing happens to sleep, and they say, I've got too much stress in my mind, I cannot switch off. That's a different story that is more complex. But we can still talk about that. Now, some of the disorders that develops as a result of initiating sleep that we know is called insomnia, meaning inability to fall asleep. Restless leg, children complain for that, and they usually call it growing pain, which is your body gets sometimes quite achy or cannot fall to sleep because of pain. And one is called light toxicity. Light toxicity is one of the reasons why your brain cannot go to sympathetic to parasympathetic, because in the old times when the body was created, there was no artificial light. Our farmers or the old people used to go to the sleep according to the sun cycle. When the darkness came, naturally there was no light, and the brain was able to switch off and go to sleep. But unfortunately, in today's technology, when the darkness comes in, the artificial light goes on. So the brain gets confused. It doesn't know whether to go to sleep or stay awake. So therefore, one of the important things you do at night to go to initiate a sleep with your brain, you have to be complete darkness. It's very important you don't have any distraction in your environment. Like you have to switch off your alarm into the flight mode. You need to make sure there's no light anywhere and a complete darkness. And if you have issue with noise sensitivity, you can even put earplugs to begin with. But this is, you have to also go to the bed around the same time every night. There are times you may not be able to help yourself, but as many people says, I go to bed at midnight, but I sleep till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. This is a very, very unproductive way of going to sleep. It's not how late you sleep at night, is how early you go to sleep that makes a difference. Because your brain circadian rhythm of light, 12 hours day and night. So day cycles, the chemicals that regulates your awakening start releasing your body by around 7 o'clock in the morning. So you want to be up and moving by around between 7 to 8. If you sometimes you notice you wake up in the morning and you feel refreshed, you say, I just sleep for about another 20 minutes, you fall asleep, you wake up more tired. The reason is because you started to fight your body's physiological process, because now daylight shift employees are showing up to work, but the night shift employees are still hanging around. They're not going. So there's a traffic there. There's a chaos in your body physiologically. You need to ensure that your body is up and then with light. If you wake up with light, is the best thing to do. Never wake up with an alarm. It's the worst thing you could do to your body, because your last cycle of your sleep is on the REM sleep. It's very, very important for brain regulations. If you allow yourself to wake up naturally with the light, your body will automatically wake up. But if you force yourself to wake up with an alarm early hours in the morning, it can disturb your sleep cycle. And you notice something happens in your REM sleep and the alarm goes, you just jump. And is actually not a pleasant experience. Another aspect of initiating a sleep is pain. The research have shown that leg pain contributes to almost 25% of people falling asleep. Arm is 24%, headaches is about 12%, and the mid-spinal pain about close to 9%. That's why people like to go to see physios, chiros, have massages, because it just helps them to sleep better by reducing the pain, if the pain is one of the initiating issues. But in my experience, I found that initiating sleep has to do with your inability, your body, the energy production, sugar metabolism, dehydration, and oxygen transport. If you address that, that makes a big difference. Now, what are the treatments that is recommended for you to initiate the sleep? Make sure that you have a pain management. Yoga is good. We use hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Nutrition-wise, you make sure that your body is hydrated. So plenty of the minerals. Minerals are very important for hydrations, energy productions, food intake. Now, food intake is that, as I said, sugar metabolism is important to initiating sleep. So if you want to initiate your sleep well, eliminate starches from your diet at nighttime, not from your day, but at nighttime. Usually I say after 5 p.m., do not have any chocolate, cakes, rice, potatoes. Those are what causes energy metabolism to kick in, and that can disturb initiating sleep. It's better to, when I grew up, there was an idiom when I grew up that says, eat breakfast on your own, so you could eat a lot. Eat lunch with your friends, so you could socialize and you eat moderate, and eat the dinner with your enemies. So with the fear of them poisoning you, you don't touch the food. So the whole idea is that lighter you eat at night, better you can sleep. And then the treatments that I provide in the clinic, NOT, helps to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. And if you want to have further tests, cortisol, melatonin, and histamine are very good testing to shift for initiating sleep. Because usually with people who are initiating sleep, they might have high levels of cortisol, low levels of melatonin, and high levels of histamine. Because histamine is an arousal chemical. It should drop to a very low at night. Are we all good? I take any question for initiating sleep. Okay, let's go to the next phase of maintaining of sleep. Because as I said, I'm not seeing the things. Do I get everyone thumbs up to go to the next level? All good? Excellent, thank you. So, okay. So the initiating sleep that we have covered, now we go to the maintenance of the sleep, non-REM sleep, which is, we're talking about alpha, theta, and delta. And we said this is also your immune systems. Your organs of detoxifications are liver, gut, thyroid, kidney, brain, and lymphatic system. These are the ones becomes engaged into regulating your non-REM sleep. and immune system organs of spleen, lymphatic system, bone marrow, and gut. That means if you have issue with any of these organs, then there is most likely a problem for you to properly maintaining your non-REM sleep. And during this time, the brain wash away the waste toxins that it builds up during the day. Some of the symptoms of the non-REM sleep that it could mean any of these is teeth grinding. Teeth grinding is usually means your brain is not able to get to the deeper delta sleep. And also in the younger generations in children's means gut toxicity and the parasite. Sleep talking is sleepwalking. Sleep talking and the sleepwalking happens. Happens at this stage of a sleep between the going from a non-REM to the REM sleep during the gut detoxification. So sleep talking, sleepwalking is always has to do with your gut issues, inflammation in the gut. We have children wake up crying, nightmares, all gut issues. Snoring and sleep apnea has to do with your kidney and your brain and also your gut. Night terrors is definitely your gut issues, inflammation in the gut. Bedwetting has to do with your kidney and your lymphatic system. And because it happens right at the junction of a non-REM to the REM sleep, and REM sleep dealing with the emotional rehabilitations, there is an emotional component to that as well. Night sweats. Night sweats is usually means that there's a dysregulation in hormones, and also could be your brain has not been able to shift from a sympathetic to parasympathetic system. It's like putting your car in the garage and you keep the engine running. It overheats. And if you have multiple arousals and you cannot fall back to sleep, and those are all the symptoms of issue with the non-REM sleep. What we usually use for the treatment for these symptoms is, again, pain management, but the main thing is liver support, digestive system. So if you're waking up at night, you cannot fall back to sleep. You got to make sure that your energy level is good. Maybe you ran out of fuels. It's like you want to go shopping. You got your shopping list, as we discussed, requires $700. You only have $100. So you go shopping and halfway in the middle, you go window shopping because you run out of money. So you wake up and you just sit in bed, you cannot fall back to sleep. One, you may have gut issues. Second, you may run out of fuels. You cannot continue further your physiological process that is required to repair your body. And definitely if you have a non-REM system issues, I cannot overemphasize how much your gut plays a role here. You got to look at your any gut issues that you have. So we go to the, that's called maintenance of REM. REM is, so this is for REM sleep. The symptoms you have that indicates REM sleep issues usually is snoring, sleep apnea, nightmares, and REM behavior disorder. REM behavior disorder, you wake up, you go to the kitchen, you cook yourself dinner, you watch TV, you go back to bed, and you were asleep. Some people wake up and they actually kick their partners and do a whole bunch of other stuff. So any REM sleep behavior, what we need to do is, what is required for us to have a good REM sleep is to have a proper gut function. Because your gut at these levels of a delta sleep produces anti-inflammatory chemicals, we call it cytokines, which helps to reduce inflammation in the body. If your gut is inflamed, it can delay you going from a non-REM to the REM sleep, and you may develop emotional dysregularity, poor memory, and attention as a result of gut detoxifications. The reasons why you wake up in the morning and you not feel in the wrong side of the bed, that means you haven't had a good REM sleep, is because during the night, during the REM cycle, the detox, the delta cycle, your gut produces a chemical called serotonin. Serotonin is important of regulating REM sleep. The two chemicals that regulate your REM sleep is noradrenaline and dopamine. And those are arousal chemicals. Remember I said in the REM sleep, your brain acts as if it's fully awake and is very active. However, what regulates overstimulations of the REM sleep is your gut producing serotonin. So sometimes if you wake up later on at night and you cannot fall back to sleep, we usually recommend people have like the precursor to serotonin, which is 5-HTP, which is come from an amino acid tryptophan. And that usually helps to be able to fall back to sleep quicker. So again, those are the issues that we need to take into account when we're looking at our sleep cycle. And these are the sleep management tools. What we need to do for sleep management. It's set time to go to bed and getting up in the same time and stick to it. So put it this way, if you go to bed at 2 in the morning, you want to get up the same time. You don't want to go, you say, okay, God, since I'm going to go to bed at 2, I'm going to sleep till midday. No, you wake up the same time. However, you could have a little nap during the day. You can have a couple of power naps. But you don't want to disturb your system. You want to get to bed at the same time, get up the same time. If you don't go to bed at the same time, always try to get up the same time. After 12 o'clock at noon, don't have caffeine. Caffeine disturbs the balance of the chemicals in the body called adenosine, which is your sleep molecule. Melatonin is not a sleep molecule. Melatonin is released by the brain to tell you it's nighttime. When it's nighttime, then your body starts the physiological processes of what we just discussed. So melatonin, if you got an issue with melatonin, if you have issue falling asleep, not if you have any other sleep issues. So, and the half-life time for caffeine is 8 hours. So you want to make sure that most of it is in your system. Limit alcohol consumption. They've done a study, they found if you snore and if you have sleep apnea, when you have alcohol, the rate of your sleep apnea doubles as a result of that. So alcohol disturbs your liver detoxification, disturbs your sugar metabolism, and also disturbs your acid-alkaline kidney balance and kidney function. Cigarette increase dopamine level. So if you smoke a cigarette at night, up to 2 hours before bed, you activate your dopamine, and which is supposed to go down to initial sleep. So you can go to sleep, but you wake up in the morning not feeling refreshed. Eating seasonal fruits is very important. Best sleep is from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. I used to go to bed at 11 o'clock at night and sometime 12 and wake up at 6. But since I moved to the area where we live in Eco Village, there's absolutely complete darkness. Now my brain just wants to go to sleep between 8 to 9 p.m. It's actually very fascinating to observe that in myself. So I really enjoy being able to fall asleep around 9 p.m., getting up at 5. At 5 o'clock, my brain is wide awake. Making sure the room is completely dark, free from noise. Avoid watching TV in the bed. So you can read and calm your brain, but meditate, but don't watch TV because TV increases noradrenaline because of the continuations, because when the lighting in the TV, or when they're making movies, every 2 seconds there is a flash of a white light that activates your noradrenaline levels. That's why when you watch TV for a long time, you get fixed on the screen. You cannot even move. Your body is in that very high stage of fight and flight system. And electrical appliances needs to be switched off around you, and put your mobile phone on your flight mode. And if you, any electrical appliances, the research have shown, needs to be within 1 meter away from your bed. If you have them on, so if you want to have your alarm, if you want to have your phone on, put them in 1 meter away from you. Now, I went through that because I wanted to be as simple as possible, but I will take any questions that anybody has. How did we go? Good. Did that answer some of the questions you guys been looking for? Concealing your own
Yes,
individual.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Hey Reza,
Yes.
does your body have a intelligence to be able to wake up by itself if it needs
Yes.
to wake up early
The
without
body
waking up?
knows if it's given the time. Children do it very good. You put the kid to bed around your sleep chemicals start to show up to job duty at night duties around 7 to 8 o'clock at night. Put the kids to sleep, they naturally wake up early in the morning. So the body has that capacity itself. So it's quite good. The only reasons why it doesn't, because it doesn't have the resources. It doesn't have, whether it's we don't have enough energy, we don't have enough sugar, metabolism is not right, we don't have enough energy to regulate our sleep. Our organs are dysfunctional and not healthy. So there's imagine a company cannot run well if all the different departments are not communicating with each other, everybody doing their own stuff. The company would not be profitable. Any other questions?
Yeah, Reza, what was the, if melatonin's not the chemical for sleep, what was the name of the
called
chemical you said?
adenosine.
Adenosine.
Yeah, it's the only company who makes adenosine is orthoplex, and the herbs that has natural form of adenosine is called cordyceps. So you could have cordyceps as a herb at night, and during the day, adenosine doesn't make you sleepy. Adenosine is the #1 sleep molecules, and actually is the molecules that regulates your energy production in the body. That's why sleep is so much energy dependent mechanism, because when the levels of adenosine reaches a certain level, like it reaches to what we call like your body knows it has created enough energy, it can now regulate your sleep. So adenosine level, when it's low, your cash flow is low. When adenosine level is high, your body has generated enough energy. And so if you could take it, and some people are not used to going to sleep relying on energy. They rely on nervous energy. So sometimes when they adenosine, the body produces energy and they get panicky, like they don't know what to do with that energy. It's actually increased cellular energy. And you take it and do it 1 or 2 times or 3 times during the day, which regulate your energy productions and helps you to switch off into the REM sleep, going to the initiating sleep. Another chemical is called GABA. So GABA is very important, and it's come from an amino acid. So what body needs to produce GABA is amino acids, taurine and vitamin B6 and glutamine. So if you have glutamine, vitamin B6, your body can produce an L-theanine. Have you heard of L-theanine, which is an amino acid? L-theanine have shown to be very effective of regulating anxiety, but also helps to make the transition to go from a sympathetic to parasympathetic. So some of you who have problem initiating sleep, I found #1 is dehydration. So there's a product we use called megahydrates, which helps to hydrate you. And almost in every instant when people take the megahydrates, if energy production is the problem, they start to initiate sleep quicker. Does that answer your question, Jenny?
Yes, thank you.
All good? Great. You guys are going to have a great night's sleep. And you're going to say, God, what I ate for dinner tonight. All you need to do is to, for a good night's sleep, have your chocolate, potatoes, rice, starches for breakfast and lunch. Don't have it for dinner. Your digestive system stops being excreted after 7 p.m. So if you're going to eat food after 7 p.m., you want to have as light as possible, something that is easily consumed. You don't want to eat after 7 p.m. because your body is too stressed out. So the food sits there till later. If you feel tired and sleepy, go to bed. You notice that when you fight going to bed, you wake up because your sleep cycle goes every 90 minutes. So if the bus shows up and you feel tired, and if you don't catch the bus, you lose it. You have to wait for the next bus. So don't try to just lie in bed and do nothing. Do your normal chores. You can clean the house, you can read the book, you can do whatever you need to do, because you gradually, within another 90 minutes, the cycle, you start to feel tired again. And a lot of people fight that urge to go to sleep when they feel sleepy. And as a result, they just wake up and they cannot go to sleep. I know for a fact, around 8:30 is when the bus comes to pick me up. If I don't catch the bus, I don't fight it now. I sit here, do other things. I know it's not gonna come till about 10 o'clock. So work with your body's clock system. Does that make sense? Good. Any other questions? Oh, good. I think we're having who is presenting next week? No, do you know?
Actually, no, but Chantal's going to put the emails out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe the next one I would do is either is on hyperbaric or the dream interpretation. What do you guys want to know? Dream interpretation or learn about?
Oh, both.
Dream interpretation.
Okay.
Dream, both dream.
Both.
There is a YouTube clip on dream interpretations. It's for 1 hour. It's called Dr. Reza Samvat and the mysticism and the sleep mysticism. It's a 1 hour lecture. Is on the YouTube that I have talked about how to interpret your dreams. That incorporated what I've just said and also focus on dream interpretation. So maybe that if I put that there, I don't need to do it. But if you want to listen to it and then we can have a little chat and you like to interpret some of your dreams, why don't we do that? So in a couple of weeks when you see me coming back, see if you can have watched that, write some of your dreams, and then we can discuss it. So I don't have to go through that process. Does that sound good?
Yep.
I've been teaching dream interpretation for 35 years. So it's one of my great passions. I used to have a radio show on dream interpretation, so in the States.
Wow.
And I found dream interpretation is one of the most powerful tools that we can use because nobody knows us better than ourselves, and is our internal guru and internal teacher that tells us what's happening in our life and what choices we need to make for our spiritual development. So if we can understand the message, we can make positive changes in our life.
Dr. Reza,
yes.
Is it true in like dreams that basically each character in your dream actually represents yourself and not actually the person that you're dreaming of?
Yeah. They say in the personal and the world is an experience you have with yourself through other people. So your dreams, the three major rules of dreams is dreams always about you. Dreams, everyone in the dream is you, and everyone in it, and it's always there's always a message. However, there are aspects of the dream. When you listen to that lectures I have, you have the capacity to communicate with the ghosts, people who died, spiritual people. There's a validity to that, but you got to get yourself understanding when you're having a dream. Is a dream spiritual dreams? Is it informative dreams? Or is it biochemical mishap because of what you ate? So So if you want to have a good dreams, make sure you do not cause disturbances in your body chemistry through eating the wrong food. For example, if you have chocolate, you can have nightmares. So it doesn't mean nightmare is a message for you. It means you had too much dopamine. So we want to make sure that biochemically you balance so the dreams is effective and we get the right message.